Something strange is happening behind the scenes at Zara right now. Former employees are speaking out in a way they usually don't, and what they're saying is quietly blowing holes through Zara's carefully polished image. If you've ever walked into Zara and felt like you were stepping into the fashion equivalent of a candy store, you're not alone. The lighting is flattering. The mannequins look like they're auditioning for a Vogue spread. And everything feels just polished enough to convince you that you're getting something special. But talk to someone who spent years behind the scenes, steaming the clothes, unpacking boxes at 7 a.m., sorting the returns, watching trends arrive and collapse overnight. And you hear a different story, a quieter one, a more honest one. Former Zara employees have a very short list of items they refuse to buy. Not because they hate the brand, not because they think Zara is evil, but because they worked close enough to the merchandise to see patterns the average shopper never notices. They know which pieces behave beautifully, and which ones unravel, sag, fade, twist, or betray you the moment they meet the real world. Because you deserve clothes that make you feel good, not items that disappoint you the moment real life begins. So let's take a look at the pieces Zara workers learn to avoid, and why their warnings matter more than you think. The illusion of perfection, where Zara really shines. Zara's genius lies in presentation. The store is curated like a living mood board. Everything is draped, steamed, spotlighted, and arranged for maximum temptation. Even the items hanging quietly in the back try to look like they're part of an editorial shoot, and that aesthetic power is what keeps customers coming back. Zara replicates runway energy at accessible prices. Trends move from Paris to your shopping bag in a matter of weeks. The brand doesn't just follow fashion, it chases it at lightning speed. But speed has a side effect. Not everything is built for longevity. Employees learned this fast. Working at Zara is like watching fashion in fast forward. You see which pieces sell out immediately, and which ones return to the store, looking like someone aged them in a time machine. You learn that some garments are designed for a moment, not a season. And you learn that certain categories consistently cause problems, not because Zara is careless, but because the production timeline is too short for perfection. The first major warning ex-workers give: soft knits. The soft knit snowball. Zara has mastered the art of making affordable sweaters feel expensive. They're soft, cozy, elegant. The kind of sweater that tricks you into thinking, this could be designer, and that is exactly why they sell so quickly. But former employees say these sweaters are also the first to fall apart. The fabric is usually blended for maximum initial softness, the kind that makes you gasp in the fitting room, not for stability. That's why they stretch out, pill quickly, or lose shape after a wash. Staff could often predict which new knitwear pieces would come back within the month. Not because they were poorly made, but because the fibers simply weren't meant to withstand repeated wear. These sweaters are like trend candy, wonderful for a moment, disappointing if you expect them to last. Workers eventually developed a sixth sense. If a sweater felt suspiciously luxurious for the price, they knew its lifespan was going to be short, and they'd politely steer their friends towards sturdier basics instead. The white fabric trap. Out of every category employees mention, this is the one they joke about the most, and not in a fun way. White Zara items have a long history of betraying customers. Inside the store, under warm lights, gorgeous, clean, crisp. Outside the store, under real sunlight, a different story. Former fitting room staff say white trousers, white skirts, white dresses, basically anything white and lightweight, tend to be far more transparent than customers realize. The lighting is the culprit. Zara's fitting rooms are designed to flatter, not reveal. When customers catch a glimpse of themselves under harsher lighting later, the results can be, let's just call it, unexpected. It became such a predictable issue that employees could often guess why someone was returning a white item before the customer even spoke. It wasn't a quality disaster. It was a lighting illusion. Zara mastered how to make white garments look opaque, even when the fabric itself wasn't doing the same level of work. The tailoring paradox. Looks expensive, lives short. Zara is famous for its blazers and coats. The brand practically built a cult following around pieces that look far above their price point. Sharp shoulders, clean angles, refined shapes. They're aspirational, but accessible. But workers quickly learn the truth. Much of that structure is temporary. Blazers that look perfectly tailored in-store can soften or collapse with wear. Coats that seem luxurious up close may rely heavily on synthetics that pill or lose shape over time. It's not that the items are bad, It's that they're designed to excel in their showroom environment. On a hanger, freshly steamed, untouched by daily life. One ex-employee described it best. Some coats come out of the box looking like they just walked off a runway, and 3 weeks later, they look like they took a long nap. The issue isn't incompetence, it's practicality. Zara pushes out so many versions of these items each season, different blends, different batches, different factories, that consistency gets harder to maintain. The garment you fall in love with might be the good run, or it might be the one that starts pilling after 2 wears. It's fashion roulette. The trousers that test your sanity. Zara trousers are beautiful on mannequins, and occasionally chaotic on humans. Employees saw this constantly. A customer would pick up 3 different sizes of the same trousers, and all 3 would fit differently. Slightly higher waist here, slightly looser leg there. Because Zara produces fast, batches can vary more than people expect. This becomes especially obvious in trend-driven trousers. Cargo styles, asymmetrical cuts, dramatic pleats, experimental waistbands. The more complicated the design, the more opportunity for something to warp, twist, sag, or stretch over time. From the employee perspective, these trousers weren't bad. They were simply unpredictable, great if you find the right fit. Frustrating if you expect them all to behave the same. The shoes that don't want a long-term relationship. Zara shoes are some of the most tempting items in the store. They're bold, fashionable, and look expensive. But many employees privately warn people not to rely on them for longevity. The reason is simple. The shoes are designed to capture a trend quickly, not to endure heavy wear. Many are made from synthetics that scuff or peel faster than customers expect. High heels might look elegant on display, but bend or wear down fast with actual movement. Sandals sometimes lose their shape. Straps may stretch sooner than expected. These aren't horror stories. They're the natural side effects of fast cycle footwear. The shoes are excellent for an outfit, a moment, a night out. They're not designed to replace more durable shoe brands. The real issue, not quality, but expectation. After years behind the scenes, former employees say the real problem isn't that Zara makes bad products. It's that customers expect Zara items to behave like long-term investments. Zara is brilliant at making something look like luxury. Sharp silhouettes, dramatic tailoring, designer-inspired details. But the materials and construction often reflect the realities of fast production. The item you love on the hanger might be perfect for a season, for a trend, for an event, just not for a decade. When you understand this, Zara becomes a fantastic store to shop smartly. When you forget it, Zara becomes frustrating. The backroom reality, where trends collide with time. If the shop floor is what Zara wants customers to see, the stockroom is what they hope you never think about. It's the heartbeat of the store, messy, loud, overstuffed, and unintentionally revealing. And this is where ex-employees say the real truth lives. Not in dramatic moments or secret memos, but in the simple math of what comes in, what goes out, and what comes back again. A stockroom, after all, is a record of patterns. You see which items lasted, which didn't, which customers complained about, and which ones somehow survived the chaotic journey from factory to sale rack without falling apart. Former workers say they learned more about Zara from these patterns than from any training session. Some pieces arrived looking exactly as promised. Others arrived already hinting at their own future. A sweater with too much fluff. A blazer that slumped the moment it left its hanger. A pair of trousers with seams that seemed to sigh under their own ambition. But what surprised many workers wasn't the quality itself. It was the rhythm of everything. There is a timing to Zara's products. The speed they're produced. The speed they sell. The speed they return. Some items lived entire life cycles within 2 weeks. They'd be unpacked, sold, worn once, returned, and marked down, all before other brands would have even shipped the first batch of the same trend. And this rhythm explains why certain Zara pieces behave the way they do. They are created quickly, displayed quickly, sold quickly, and often forgotten quickly. Customers imagine a thoughtful, deliberate pipeline. Employees see a conveyor belt that never sleeps. The speed doesn't make the clothes bad. It makes them volatile, which is why some Zara items hold up beautifully, and others collapse like a souffle under bright lights. This volatility shows most clearly in the items ex-workers warn about the most. pieces that depend heavily on precision, structure, and consistency. The three things Zara's speed-driven system often sacrifices first. When garments travel too fast for their own good, to understand why some items fail, you have to understand just how quickly Zara works. Their production timeline isn't just fast, it's frantic. A design can go from concept to shipment in a matter of days. Factories might run multiple batches, each slightly different depending on material availability, machinery, or even the team on shift that week. Former employees say this explains one of the great mysteries of Zara: why two identical-looking pieces can behave as if they came from two different planets. The first batch may have been produced with slightly thicker fabric, the second with a lighter one. The first might have been stitched on a machine that applied just enough tension, the second on one that didn't. These micro variations don't matter much in the short term, but they matter enormously when a garment is worn, washed, stretched, and expected to keep its shape. This batch inconsistency is why ex-workers quietly encourage shoppers to try on multiple versions of the same item, and not just for sizing. Two medium tops might fit the same but behave differently after wear. Two blazers might look identical but drape differently because one came from a late-night production run when tension levels dropped. These details sound small, but they're the difference between a Zara piece that becomes a favorite and a Zara piece that turns into a regrettable purchase. And this is why ex-employees warn people most strongly about Zara's ambitious pieces, because complexity magnifies inconsistency, which leads to the silhouette problem, beautiful designs that fall apart in motion. Zara is excellent at creating clothing that looks incredible on the hanger or mannequin. They know how to shape a sleeve in a way that makes a shoulder look regal, how to curve a seam so the waist appears slimmer, how to drape fabric so the eye sees luxury instead of polyester. But employees say that many of these statement pieces, the ones with dramatic pleats, sculptural cuts, asymmetrical hems, or architectural shoulders, are unstable once you actually live in them, sitting, walking, bending, lifting your arms. All the normal movements of a human being can disrupt the precision those pieces rely on. One particularly interesting pattern ex-workers describe is what they call the mannequin effect. Some items are built to work brilliantly in a posed, perfect setting, the very environment of Zara's showroom. But movement exposes how fragile the design really is. A blouse with a sculpted sleeve may deflate after one wear. A tailored waist may shift after sitting. A pleated skirt may twist slightly with every step. And when customers bring these items back, the reason is rarely poor quality. It's usually, it didn't sit right, or it didn't look the same when I wore it. These are design-driven problems, not fabric-driven ones. And they are the hallmark of fashion produced on a deadline. Zara excels at replicating the look of luxury, but luxury houses spend months perfecting movement, structure, and fit. Zara tries to accomplish this in weeks. The result is clothing that can look breathtaking, but sometimes collapses the moment you step out of the mirror and into the real world. The hidden cost of constant change. One thing former employees emphasize is that Zara isn't failing because it's careless. It's failing in specific areas because it's always changing. The collection shifts constantly, fabrics rotate, suppliers vary, and trends move too quickly for true consistency. This creates a strange relationship between customers and clothes. People assume Zara pieces are tested, refined, and predictable, the way they might be in brands with slower cycles. But at Zara, the feeling is closer to you get what you get. The top that fits beautifully today might never return in the same form. The trouser that lasted you 2 years might be unrecognizable next season. This unpredictability is especially clear in categories that rely heavily on stability, like trousers, blazers, and outerwear. A classic coat shape might rotate through 3 fabric compositions in a single season. A pair of tailored trousers might look identical month to month, but be cut from different batches that drape differently on the body. From the employee perspective, there was rarely enough time to learn which items were safe bets. By the time staff identified a consistently good piece, it was already being replaced by the next version. This rapid turnover also affects customer service. Workers would hear complaints that a top shrank, a dress stretched, or a blazer warped, and they'd have no way of knowing whether the item in question was part of the early batch, the mid-batch, or the late one. Each could behave differently. This is Why ex-employees' warnings aren't about dramatic secrets. They're about variability. Because in a system built on speed, consistency is the first casualty, the return loop that says everything. Nothing reveals the reality of Zara's production like returns. And ex-employees say the return pile tells a story the marketing never does. Some items come back for predictable reasons, some for surprising ones, some for reasons no designer could have predicted. But the most interesting part of the story isn't that certain categories appear repeatedly. It's why they appear. White items return because customers discover that Zara's lighting is kinder than reality. Knitwear returns because softness and longevity rarely coexist in fast fashion blends. Tailored pieces return because structure collapses under repetitive wear. Experimental silhouettes return because everyday movement exposes weaknesses. Shoes return because aesthetic ambition often outruns functional durability. From the employee side, this wasn't frustrating. It was educational. They watched how trends behaved after leaving the safety of the showroom. They saw how fabrics responded to weather, washing machines, and real bodies. They saw which garments couldn't handle a long commute, which ones didn't survive a night out, and which ones betrayed their wearers at unfortunate times. This is why the advice ex-employees give isn't "don't shop at Zara." It's understand Zara's lifespan. Every Zara piece has an intended purpose and an unspoken expiration date. Some last beautifully, some don't. But the key is knowing which items fall into which category. The smart way to shop Zara. What employees do recommend. After years of watching clothing arrive, sell, break down, return, and repeat, former Zara employees develop their own rules. Not harsh rules, not cynical ones, just honest ones. They recommend choosing Zara pieces the way you might choose makeup or seasonal decor, intentionally and with an understanding of their role. Trend-driven pieces are perfect for what they are, short-term statements that don't need to survive more than a season. These are great for experimentation and events. Zara excels at these because they are designed to create an impression, not a commitment. Simpler basics, cotton tees, clean-cut trousers, straightforward dresses often hold up far better than customers expect. These items are less complex, easier to produce consistently, and less likely to unravel under pressure. Many ex-employees say these were the pieces they bought themselves. Outerwear can be hit or miss, depending on fabric composition. Coats with substantial wool content, proper lining, and continuous restocks tend to perform better than dramatic seasonal pieces with low percentages of natural fiber. Accessories are best treated as short-term fashion boosters rather than investments. And the ultimate tip employees give is surprisingly simple. Check how the garment behaves when you move. Sit down, stretch your arms, walk a few steps, twist your torso, because Zara clothing excels in stillness, on mannequins, in photos, under store lights. But its true nature reveals itself the moment you stop posing. The final takeaway: Zara is great when you know what it is. After speaking to dozens of former workers, one pattern becomes clear. People run into problems with Zara not because the brand disappoints, but because expectations don't match reality. Zara is fast fashion, executed at the highest level of visual polish. It is not built for endurance. It is built for immediate allure. It is a snapshot of a trend, not the archive of a wardrobe. Ex-employees aren't warning shoppers to avoid Zara. They're warning shoppers to understand it. Zara clothes are not engineered to last 5 years. They're engineered to make you feel stylish right now. If you buy with that mindset, if you understand that some items are meant for the moment, while others are more stable, Zara becomes a far more satisfying place to shop. But if you buy a delicate knit expecting it to survive a winter, or a dramatic coat expecting it to walk through storms, or a pair of sculptural trousers expecting architectural precision under real-world pressure, well, that's when Zara turns into a heartbreak machine. If you found this behind-the-scenes look helpful, or if you want more honest insights into the brands you buy from every day, make sure you subscribe.